watch over me until I'm there. All those fun friends growing out. I guess it was your time to go. I guess you heard your call. Everything will be fine as we watch your seeds grow. They won't hurt at all. Sitting here just reminiscing on the times we used to share. Now it's only just a memory. Words could never say how much we're missing you, but I'm aware you're in heaven looking down on me. When will we meet again? All of our fallen friends. When will we have a time to share? With us you'll always be. All lives your legacy, just to show you how much we care. When will we meet again? All of our fallen friends. We know you know we miss you here. With us you'll always be. All lives your legacy, just to show you how much we care. You will never be forgotten, you will never fade away. In our hearts is where you'll always be. Can't believe that this has
Your voice with the NRP. This and every Monday, 8:30 to 10 p.m. Join host Stephen Semanas and the NRP candidates as they amplify your voice.
Good evening, good evening. Thank you for joining Your Voice with the NRP, which you do every Monday night, because this is where political debate in the Federation reaches its apex. It's February 3rd, 2 months to the day since Premier Mark Brantley and Minister of Finance delivered the 2025 budget. Already it has hit a major bump in the road. With me tonight until 10, the effervescent J.D. Keynes, number one in number one. And we have a lot to unpack this evening. Buckle on, buckle in. Good evening, J.D. Welcome to the program.
Good evening, Mr. Manners, and good evening to everyone in Radio Land. For those who are tuned via 2020 Vision Radio in the traditional sense, for those who are tuned via the social media handles, whether Facebook, YouTube, whatever it is, I say a pleasant good evening to you. And as always, it's a pleasure to be featured on 2020 Vision Radio again, particularly on Your Voice with the NRP, alongside you, Mr. Manners.
And of course, I know you have to do your normal greetings, condolences, and all that good stuff.
Yes, Mr. Manners, so as per usual, I want to start off by just saying a very special good evening to all of the persons registered in Nevis 1, St. Paul, Charlestown. Of course, you get an extra special greeting from me every time. So wherever you are, whether you're physically here on the island of Nevis, in your homes, in Craddock Road, Ramsbury Government Road, Main Street, Bath Road, Stony Grove, with Hamilton, wherever you are, I say good evening to you. And of course, we have some persons who are in the diaspora who tune in week after week to Your Voice with the NRP, and some let me know that they will be tuned this evening. Quite funny, quite interesting. Someone told me, you may not see me online, but I'm online. I was like, how do you do that? They said, don't worry about it, but I'm able to. And we had a little chuckle. I know about that too, but I want to thank you nonetheless. The fact is, you're getting the information. That's what we care about. So thank you so much for tuning in. At this time, I want to congratulate our people who are doing well in various aspects. So many persons are doing great things and they deserve to be commended, but allow me the opportunity to really single out Adelacy Garcia, Ashonique Romney, Anjonique Purple Newton, and Kenya Virgo. These are 4 young ladies. All of them I know very well. And they recently traveled to Nicaragua to represent St. Kitts and Nevis, the football team that recently vied for a spot in terms of the CONCACAF qualifier. They are back now because Anjonique, she has a sister named Ashanique, yes. Anjonique, aka Purple, she participated in the EPPS Relay Festival on Sunday. So I love that. I love that you were able to go away, do your thing in football, and you came back and you were still contributing in the area of track and field. So kudos to them. And they were accompanied, of course, by our counterparts in St. Kitts. But from the Nevis end, we had the lovely Dr. Duana Pemberton Jeffers. And we also had Sienna Leader, originally from St. Kitts, but who has made Nevis her home. And so they were part of the delegation that traveled to Nicaragua recently. So we want to thank you for your work, and keep the faith, and keep practicing, keep trying, because we'll get there someday. On a not so lively and spirited note, allow me to extend condolences to all who mourn at this point in time. There are so many persons who are mourning. You know, you have family members and friends who are bereaved. However, I just want to pause and extend publicly my sympathies to the Atherton family on the passing of Christian John Atherton II. Many of you may know him as John the Bailiff. John lost his life recently, and I think that news sent shockwaves to the island, and certainly to the Federation, because he was well known on St. Kitts as well. He's a former police officer, a devoted grandfather especially. I mean, I know him very well from church. As a matter of fact, when I mustered up the courage to tell my daughter that he passed away, she was, "Mommy, what? John?" And this is what she said. She was like, "Mommy, what? John? John from church? John with the grandchildren? John who sometimes brings his mommy to church? John from entries? John who is always helping?" Those were her exact words. And I knew it was because she was surprised, but it showed me that as small as she is, she recognized his impact. So she knew him at just 11. So imagine the persons who worked with him when he was a police officer, persons he encountered as a bailiff. And like I tell you, I've known him, I mean, all my life. We attended the same church together, and so, you know, it's really sad. So to his entire family, again, I extend my deepest condolences to you. I know the family well as well, so I'm just sorry for this tragic loss. We want to remember, I don't think she died before I was here. So the family of Lady Sheila Daniel want to remember you at this time. Lady Sheila Daniel, of course, was the sister of my dear Auntie Monica. That's what I call her. Monica Tyson, that was her sister. And I just want to again extend condolences to that family. Of course, Corey Tyson, her nephew, Angela Henville, daughter-in-law, Renelle, Adrian, I mean the entire Daniel and Henville families rather. Please accept my deepest sympathy on the passing of Lady Sheila Daniel. And I shared on Facebook a memory that I had of Mrs. Daniel, Mr. Manners, because you see, prior to her being a parishioner at St. Thomas's Anglican, she actually attended St. Paul Anglican, and she was a pianist there for many, many years, and she was very instrumental in the choirs, particularly the Sunshine Choir. That was the choir for the little children. And religiously every Friday afternoon, I remember she had a white Jeep. Religiously every Friday afternoon, she would collect my sister Shadi and I and transport us to choir practice. It was Mrs. Daniel and Irma Johnson. Those two were the ones who were really, really instrumental in that. So Mrs. Daniel would get us on a Friday, and on Sunday, after Sunday school, Miss Johnson would be the one to transport us home. So, and then when I got too old for the Sunshine Choir, and it was Aaliyah's turn, they transported Shadi and Aaliyah, and then there was Shailan later. So, we would definitely miss Mrs. Daniel. And my mother would tell you that she would often ask about us, particularly Shadi. She had a thing for Shadi. And one of the NRP soldiers, one of my St. Paul soldiers in Chilston, Francis, I know that his workplace, they're going through a very sad time because, as you know, Chilston is attached to the AA brand, and we have heard of that tragic accident recently, tragic plane crash, collision, for want of a better term. And so, they lost some of the members of their team, and we just want to remember them at this time. Chilston and all of your colleagues, just know that you are in our thoughts and prayers. And to any and everyone else who may be bereaved at this time, please accept my deepest sympathy.
Well, let me join you in extending condolences to those who are bereaved, and let me add to the list that you've mentioned Decil Hamilton's mother, of course, an employee at the special ed there in Prospect. And a bit, his first name eludes me, a well, from Banscott.
Banscott, yeah.
Banscott, married to Vanessa Clark. So I think his last name is Clark. Those two came on the same day, and I understand they were side by side at the Alexandra Hamilton. And so this thing has started off on a very sad note. And of course, you mentioned the crash between the airline and the helicopter in the DC area. And of course, the first body recovered was that of somebody of Kittitian roots. I think the last name is Duggins, somebody who went to Harvard University in the spring of her life, had gone to Wisconsin to visit her parents, a very well-known family, and was flying back to the DC area where she was supposed to take up a position as a professor at Harvard University sometime this week. So, that crash, even though it's in North America, it has hit home. And so condolences to the family, her connections in Sandy Point, St. Kitts. Flame has been fluffed out, and so we reach out to you from this program.
Yep.
And of course you wanted to thank people for
of course, so now I always want to start off with those because it's very important and I don't want to forget at all. So just know that you guys are all in our thoughts and our prayers at this time. Recently, the NRP St. Paul's group hosted a takeaway breakfast sale, and the support was superb, and I want to just thank you publicly for your assistance, persons who contributed to the cause in terms of preparing dishes or purchasing items to prepare dishes, persons who came out and purchased breakfast, some persons gave a donation and asked us to give the meals to someone, and we appreciated that as well. It was really good, and so I just want to thank you so much. Look out for us because we'll be having another one, not in February but probably in March. However, we are having a series of fundraising activities, so I am encouraging you to just stay connected. And while I'm at it, I am asking persons who are currently overseas, and this is just those in the diaspora now, not those physically on the island of Nevis. That's a different conversation. But for those of you in the diaspora who are residents of St. Paul and want to see change on the island of Nevis, want to see the NRP elected to government to lead this country in the way that it should be led, to just reach out to me. You can do so via Facebook Messenger, you can do so via WhatsApp message, or you can call me and we'll dialogue, because we have a forum specifically created for you. And when I say we, I'm referring to the St. Paul's constituency group. So I am asking you to just reach out to me and we'll dialogue further. Naturally, I don't want to say too much at this point. So I just wanted to let you know there are some persons who have already come on board because their contact information was right at hand, and so we don't want the others of you to be left out. So please reach out. My number is 869-663-4423. It's for this purpose, 869-663-4423. And remember, I'm saying it's for persons in the diaspora who are registered or who were once residents of St. Paul, Charlestown. Those are the persons I'm specifically talking to at this time. Others don't need to get jealous. We'll have something else for you, but I'm just speaking specifically to that group of persons at this time, okay? So just reach out to me again, 869-663-4423.
JD, when you were here, I think in November, you made the point that in previous years, a Minister of Finance would deliver his budget, and then we are not kept abreast in terms of what is happening until the next budget comes around again. And sometimes it appears like it's a cut and paste, a recycling. Now, as I said in the introduction, today marks 2 months to the day since the Premier and Minister of Finance delivered the 2025 budget, and already they have hit a major bump in the road. You'll see from the Observer here, NIA faces 15% budget shortfall. And I'm going to read an excerpt from the newspaper. The Nevis Island Administration, NIA, is facing a 15% shortfall in its yearly budgetary allocations, leading to the postponement of several projects due to funding constraints. At his press conference on Tuesday morning, January 28th, Premier Mark Brantley acknowledged the budgetary shortfall and assured the public that the administration remains committed to responsible fiscal management. In December last year, I had the pleasure of presenting the NIA budget for 2025. The budget provides a guide for the operations of the NIA. It is based on projections for revenue and expenditure. At each annual budget, I clearly outline that the extent to which we roll out our spending programs depend on our ability to access funding, especially for executing the items as outlined in our capital expenditure program, Brantley stated. He reiterated that the administration would not engage in reckless spending and would only undertake projects if the necessary funding was available or could be accessed at low cost, in line with the NIA's debt management strategy. Where funding cannot be accessed at concessionary rates, we curtail our expenditure program and carry forward to the new fiscal period any projects which were not executed due to the lack of approved financing, Brantley said. I've heard several callers call into Premier's program and ask about the prospect for 2025, when major projects like the completion of the Alexandra Hospital wing, which some people estimate will take us up to 50 million, and of course the airport project, which will call for deeper pockets. What's your first assessment of that? That 1 month and 3 weeks after the budget, the Premier has come back to tell us, don't put your hats too high. The financing may not be in place for some of the projects we've got lined up for 2025.
Okay. So, Mr. Manas, thank you so much for sharing that. Now, I like to be fair. You know, I am one of those people, I'm one of those persons, so people sometimes say, but why are you giving them credit? I'm not giving credit. What I like to do is, well, I give credit where credit is due. In this case, I'm not giving credit. What I like to do is to look at things from a holistic standpoint. So let's say that at the time of the budget, the Premier didn't have this information. Let's see. Guess what that means? That the Premier is inept. Because you ought to have had this information as the Minister of Finance, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Let's say the Premier at the time of the budget had this information. Then it means the Premier is inept again, or inept still, because you deceived us. You did not give a true account of our situation. And so no matter how you flip the coin, I think the result is the same. Now, Mr. Manners, I understand, and I'm pretty sure many of you understand. Some of you have far more knowledge than I do in finance matters. But what I can tell you and what we know is that a budget is a guide. And you will hear them say that a budget is a guide. It doesn't necessarily mean that everything that is budgeted for will take place. However, it is in fact just that, a guide. And so it is like a map, a framework to let us know the direction that we are heading, what we anticipate. It also means that if we've budgeted for it, we expect to have the funding for it. We are, if not already in possession of that set of funding, it means that we are actively pursuing it and we can see where it's coming from. Now, as you mentioned, just 1 month since just about the delivery of the budget address, we are getting this news. Mr. Manners, I'm not at all surprised. The only thing that perhaps may be surprising is the fact that they told us. Mm-hmm. And I want to think that they only told us because of the constant push and calls that people have been making. Because I don't know if you realize, Mr. Manners, but people aren't just sitting back like before. People are asking the difficult questions, and that does not sit well with this administration, because then it's forcing the administration to be accountable. And so to see NIA facing a 15% budget shortfall, I am not at all surprised, but I just want us to know that this is not the norm, and that is not what we should be accepting, that a government comes 1 month or thereabout after it presents a budget to us to tell us that, listen, I know we told you that we are going to do these things, but we are not going to do them. What you need to ask yourself, and what you need to study, what all of us need to study, is what are they actually spending money on? Mm-hmm. Because it's okay to say we don't have money for this and we don't have money for that. But shouldn't the next question be, well, what do we have money for? Because remember now, the Alexandra Hospital expansion wing is far past its expiration date. We have quality underrun and cost overrun when it comes to the Alexandra Hospital expansion. What do I mean? The level of work that we've received to date is nothing near what it should be. So that's quality underrun. Cost overrun, we are significantly beyond or significantly over what we ought to have spent and what we were told that would have been spent on this expansion project. So we didn't have the money then. We did not have the money then. So this is nothing new for this administration. Different faces, but the same MO. Different faces with the same MO. And we have to lay this at the feet of the people in government, the people who want to run from it. Because guess what? The Premier, although wasn't the Premier at the time, he was there. He was there. And he was part of the whole planning and execution of it. As a matter of fact, he made it his own. He made this particular project his own and others his own. The airport expansion, he made them his own by constantly talking about it. As a matter of fact, he said, we're no longer having a hospital expansion wing. It's a brand new hospital. So how then could we give praise for the idea of giving us a quote-unquote brand new hospital, but we don't want to condemn when it's not delivered? What are we spending the money on? That is the question that we need to ask. The current area representative for St. Paul, this should lay squarely at his feet as well. Because he, and I've never heard him come out and say nothing, sir. He was the architect. He was a part of it. He was a part of it. He wasn't in government yet, but he was on the ticket. He was on the ticket to be in government. So these are the questions that we need to ask. And then we've had health ministers. Imagine, in Nevis, we put health, a big ministry and a significant ministry, as significant as health, for a junior minister. For a junior minister. And I say time and time again, I feel sorry for the junior minister. I honestly feel sorry for the junior minister, because it is not her burden to carry. It should not have been her burden to carry, but now she's in the seat. And so she has to share some of the burden. And so that is what we are talking about. So when you see here that the NIA is what is it? What is the headline? 15% shortfall. NIA budget. NIA faces 15% budget shortfall. Remember this. On this 3rd day of February 2025, it's more than 15%. Remember that I tell you it's more than 15%. Just remember that. The information will start coming out bit by bit that it's more than 15%. And so we know they're showing us who they are time and time again. And we are going to continue to accept this. CCM should not even be an option for us going into the next election, Mr. Manners. That is the reality. CCM should not even be an option. We should say, okay, let's forget about CCM. CCM is not worthy of leading this country, this government, this island, forward. So let's forget about CCM and let's see who remains. Even if we were to take that approach, because there are some persons who say, oh, that's all they know. But since that's all you know, look at all that you've gotten. Let's look at all that you've gotten, and let's start with that then. I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt that is all you know. So let's start with what you know. Recognize that you haven't gotten anything from what you know. So it's time to cast that aside and start looking at the others. But of course, the rational thinking people will tell you, I don't even have to look at the fact that that is all I know. I can compare what is in front of me and make an informed decision. Whatever it is, I'm telling you, CCM should not be an option for you in the next election, not this CCM administration.
For the record, Wednesday marks the midterm for the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party. 2 years and 6 months of a 5-year term. This is what Brantley identified as the reason for the shortfall. Brantley identified the federal government's recent 6-month reduction in value-added tax VAT as a key contributing factor to the shortfall. The VAT rate was reduced from 17% to 13%. This decision came after the NIA had already presented its annual budget, leaving the local government to adjust to the unexpected financial impact. For the first half of fiscal year 2025, we will see a reduction in the value-added tax from 17% to 13%, as laid out in the federal budget. This will impact the revenue collected at the Customs and Inland Revenue Departments in Nevis, the 2 highest revenue collection departments of the NIA. This, along with other factors, has created a shortfall in the identified funding of the budget of between 15 and 20%. You did say it will be more, as planned. This is neither unusual or alarming. What is unusual and alarming for me is that the Premier for 2.5 years has told us he has a wonderful working relationship with his federal government.
Correct.
And that he could have been blindsided. Nevis' budget was the 13th. St. Kitts' budget was about 2 weeks after. We know he has told us he was in the yard in a previous administration. He wasn't there. Well, it appears to us now he's only going as far as 4th Street. Because you're planning for your island in 2025. And you didn't know what the federal government was doing. So what happens to the collaboration which should be taking place?
Mr. Manners, I agree with you 110%, but I want to go a step further. Because you see, prior to this, you were part of an administration that did absolutely nothing to address that problem. That did absolutely nothing to address the matter of the value added tax. As a matter of fact, you campaigned long and hard in the last election that this is for Nevis, it's fair share for Nevis. And in all these years, you still have failed to deliver us the fair share for Nevis. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to recognize that based on the quotation that Mr. Manners just read to you, that the Premier has a problem with us seemingly getting easing the squeeze in terms of the VAT reduction. Because he's saying that with the reduced VAT, it means that there will be less revenue for the island of Nevis. Now, Mr. Manners, does that sound like someone, albeit that statement may be true, but does that sound like someone who cares about the ordinary man and woman who's struggling? Can't be. When an initiative is put in place so that you and I can spend a little less when we go to the stores, our leader and Minister of Finance, who already has it made, who doesn't have to count his pennies, is saying that's going to be bad for the island of Nevis. Well, let me tell you what a forward-thinking person would do. You see me? And I'm not trying to tap myself on the shoulder, but I could tell you, in my less than 40-year-old self, you're old enough to be my father, I could tell you simply that you now have to diversify your economy. Had you been diversifying your economy, you would have found additional streams of revenue, additional streams of income for the island, so that you are not reliant on the value added tax alone. And guess what? You ought to have known that you needed to do that, because we have recognized time and time again that the value added tax, how it is calculated, not the tax in itself, but how it is calculated and has been calculated for years, does not benefit us as it should. So, I mean, imagine me in my little self, young self, where she go according to her, could tell you that. And you with your years of experience and how much ever years in government can't figure out that that is something that you need to do. And all the sleepy Joes in your cabinet can't pinch you and tell you that that is what you need to do. You can't be reliant on the value added tax only to generate income. Not when you recognize, or not when people have been saying, not when it is so obvious that how the VAT is calculated poses a problem for us. Come on, nonsense.
I suspect it's going to be a very busy night. Welcome, caller. You're the first. Good evening.
Oh, man, I'm so happy. Teacher Manners.
Aye.
JD.
Good night, good night.
Yeah, the last time I spoke to you, JD, I said to you, keep up the good work and don't let nobody get on your thing. Now, you guys have a very interesting topic tonight, because that same budget issue, I addressed it with Mr. Brantley, Premier Brantley. Let me address him formally, Premier Brantley. And I said, why would you present a budget to the people of Nevis knowing that you don't have any financing? And as JD said, he said, oh, it's just a projection and whatever. But you need to understand, if you're going to present a budget as serious as the airport, as serious as the Alexandria Hospital, well, hopefully completion, as serious as geothermal, then you must have sat down with people who are serious about giving you money. And the only thing you can walk away is a guarantee from the federal government for $20 million, meaning that you got to go and borrow $20 million. I really wonder, are Nivisians really in tune with what's going on?
They're getting there, for sure. They're waking up.
Because all that the Prime Minister is saying is that you are a bad spender. I will guarantee the loan for you, but you can't get no cash. So you gotta
Exactly.
know how bad it go.
Exactly.
You understand? That's the first thing. And that is just only to pay out the property owners. What about the other aspects of the airport expansion? There's nothing finalized. His excuse is that the initial agreement has not waned. Well, what is the initial agreement? What are we getting into? Because obviously it's going to be a loan to the people of Nevis via the government as a conduit. So what is the initial agreement? It has not waned.
Hmm.
Then there's the hospital issue where the Minister of Health keeps, but I think I'm gonna play $12 million
Mm-hmm.
2 years ago, $12 million 2 years after expenses have increased, and you want to tell me that if you were thinking about finishing that hospital wing 2 years ago, it's gonna cost the same 2 years after?
Exactly.
Can't.
Foolishness. In this economy at that.
Then there's the issue now. I don't even know where this geothermal thing is at. Who owns geothermal? Who owns the right to it? Is it gonna be Sinkits? Who's gonna be the owners of the geothermal rights? Because Nevis has no say. So who's gonna own the right to geothermal? Whatever funds are supposed to be or revenues are supposed to come in, who's gonna be? You understand?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yes, yes.
Mm-hmm. We got a tough
There-
road ahead. Mm-hmm. We got a tough road ahead.
It's a tough road ahead, but we got to understand that it has to start somewhere, and we got to start now because honestly, the way I see it, I mean, I was talking to a parent tonight, and they're still telling me that the St. James Primary School Hall is not finished.
That's correct.
All the talk, all the talk, all the talk, all the talk is not finished. Things not going well, and then, but anyway, like I said, JD, I will only encourage you just keep pressing on and do the best for the English people. Okay?
Thank you very
Okay.
much, and I appreciate the encouragement.
Cool.
Mr.
Yeah.
Manners,
Alright.
the caller raised something, and I was here looking in my phone because I know I read it today, so I had to go back and see. I don't think the call is closed. I wanted to go back and find it, and it's something from the Department of Information, Nevis Television, with the headline Nevis Premier Honorable Mark Brantley to attend Third Council of Ministers Energy Meeting to advance sustainable energy development in the OECS.
Mhm.
And it opens, that's the headline, it opens Premier of Nevis and Minister of Energy and Public Utilities in the NIA, Honorable Mark Brantley, will join regional leaders at the Third Council of Ministers Energy Meeting to discuss a transformative roadmap for sustainable energy development in the OECS. Premier Brantley underscored the importance of regional collaboration in achieving energy security and economic transformation through renewables, and this is his quote. This meeting is timely and allows us of the OECS to share ideas and maintain the momentum of transforming our economies and communities through greater use of renewable energy sources. Together we can achieve and surpass global benchmarks for carbon substitution by renewables. Scheduled to be held at the St. Kitts Marriott Resort February 4th to 5th, so that's tomorrow and the day after. The meeting will convene top regional officials, including Prime Minister Drew, Honorable Conris Maynard, Didicus Jules, that's the General Secretary of the OECS. And the theme for it is sustainable energy, creating opportunities for reinventing the economy of the OECS. Mr. Manners, I have a problem with these kinds of things. I mean, in this case, we ought to be lucky it's just costing us round trip on the boat to go to St. Kitts. But these are some of the things that sometimes we take up thousands of taxpayer dollars or hundreds of taxpayer dollars, and we travel overseas for you to just get a photo op. Because tell me how Premier Mark Brantley is the most suited person to attend. I mean, yes, he's the leader of the island, but based on his particular set of skills or lack thereof, come on. You want to tell me that there's nobody within the Nevis Island administration who has a better grasp of sustainable energy, renewable energy, and even energy generally that is suited to attend a forum such as this?
And where's that forum?
It's St. Kitts at the Marriott Resort.
Where he did give an explanation. I can't remember if it was at the press conference or on Wednesday night.
Oh, community calendar? I don't
Yeah,
listen.
but it's put on by the Nevis Island administration. And it's only being held in St. Kitts, according to him, because it cannot be accommodated at the Four Seasons, which will be sold out at the time. So I would assume he won't be the only person going to that conference, but it's sponsored by the NIA.
Okay, Mr. Manners, I will go with that.
Uh-huh.
My point at the end of the day, and thank you for that information. My point at the end of the day, how serious are we and how truthful are we being when we claim that we have made significant strides in terms of getting us closer to sustainable energy and renewable energy when we are still at the table having discussions? That is the main point that I am trying to make, Mr. Manners. And so I think if we're lucky, we are going to get another statement very soon saying, you know, there have been some setbacks and we aren't able to move forward with this. And I said if we're lucky, and that's if we put a lot of pressure on them, they'll give us a statement that we aren't able to move forward with this, and so we'll update you in due time. I don't see this thing happening, Mr. Manners. That's the reality. And as far as I'm concerned, I was hearing about renewable energy and the fact that we are ready for years, years before I was a mother. And it's almost time for me to be a grandmother, and still nothing. You know, it's just absolutely ridiculous.
When you started, I thought you were going to refer to a release I saw today. Very terse, very short, didn't say much. That the Premier will be traveling to the U.S. Virgin Islands on official duties February 7th to the 9th. And that, as usual, the Honorable Eric Evelyn will be the acting Premier.
I saw that too.
That came out early but didn't say anything. Why? What is official duty?
Exactly.
What are you going to in the Virgin
Subjective.
Islands? You know, so we'd like to hear more. We've got another caller. Good evening. Welcome to Your Voice with the NRP.
Yeah, good night, Mr. Manners.
Hi, good night.
I'm Jerry.
Good night.
Yeah, good program, man.
Thank you.
You're on the right track. Things are good. Things going good. That's the idea of the information. The information coming out, they're going good. But the forum taking place in St. Kitts, where the Premier want to go, what happened to his energy minister?
Okay.
How come he not at the table? You're gonna be, Geothermal gonna come up. What's gonna happen?
Well,
Is the energy?
he's the energy minister, you know.
I'm not even sure.
But he not ready yet. He not ready
And I
yet
was
for that.
surprised. It was not until
No,
I
man,
went
you-
into the
no.
caller. I said,
You
Lord,
need
poor
somebody-
Brannigan.
He needs somebody who is more educated than he in technology engineering, not he. The engineering is a liar, right? That's why engineering is supposed to got somebody better than he.
Yeah,
News people, I got to wake up, you know.
yeah.
JD, you're preaching, and I hear you talk about news people shouldn't have no other option going because everything is clear there.
Correct.
You see, I'm just cannot lead. They are
Correct.
failures.
Correct.
The man keep failing and lying to the people of Nevis every time he come with the press conference, and the man just swallowing a spill. Watch here. You had Jim Jones, you know. But this is a different Jim Jones coming around, you know. I look at it to see. It's something, it's a pill within his talks that people swallowed.
Yep.
Check it was, it might sound simple, but look at it.
No, you know, you're spot on. You're spot on, caller.
Yeah. That's how the man capturing the people, them. They're good talk and everything, everybody like him. I could do all the wrong I want in Nevis. Because to the end of the day, my pocket come fat, and Nevis going down in the drain when I left office.
Correct. Correct.
And we got to put politics aside and give Jackie, right? And Johnny Bamanco. That's what the old people them used to say. And that's how we go, right? Straight. Be straight to the people, them, man.
Yep.
You know, you don't fall short. You don't come straight to the people, them. You don't wait till a month after. You man, look at them. Everything settled down now. Let me just tell them what I want to tell them now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's how we get the people in Avis.
Yep.
It's simple, educated politics we get in, but people just cannot see. People just something about them they just cannot see, because there is no other station in Nevis or the Federation educate Nevis people more than you are.
Yep.
And you are doing a good work for the people them, and it's time now the people them eyes opening up, and they got to make the right decision. You need to give a clean page, clean sweep. You need to go to the next election. Forget about this party. We've been failing going on 20 years now.
Correct.
Been in for a long time.
Exactly.
Been failing. We got to talk reality, man,
Exactly.
and accept right and that wrong is right.
Exactly.
Can't happen, man.
Yep.
But
I agree.
continue to educate the people them and the young people them and wake up to now.
Exactly.
They don't say much, but they see what's going on. They don't have the discussion.
Even the blind
Things
can
don't
see
happen.
what's going on.
Exactly, man. Too blind.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, thank
Too
you.
blind. Why?
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Thank you very much.
Continue. Nice program.
Thank you.
Alright,
Thank you. JD, we're going to switch
Yes.
gears in a while, but I must get this in because we have a man in the White House in the United States who is unleashing a bit of terror on the world. Of course, 25% tariffs on Canada, and of course, Canada has reversed that with their own 25% tariff. And those are the two countries where we get most of our consumer items from. We know that people are in for a tough time. That's why the government in St. Kitts introduced its budget boost wallet.
Correct.
And that's why they've reduced VAT from 17% to 13%. But I said from the very onset, it's experimental, but the Prime Minister cannot go back to 17% because with these tariffs on those two countries, we're going to have more inflation, cost of living is going to be higher consumer prices at the supermarket, maybe the disruption of supply train. I think we're in for a rough ride, and our leaders must come and talk straight to us.
Okay, and so Mr. Manners, I'm glad that you brought this up. I'll just weigh in on it quickly before we shift
Switch,
to
yeah.
education and health and safety. Mr. Manners, I think the opportunity is right for us to start having certain discussions. You see, we like to say diplomacy matters. We like to say that when we go to conferences, it is not just about having photo ops. We are saying that we are in meaningful discussions. St. Kitts and Nevis has diplomatic relations with quite a number of countries near and far. And so I believe that the time is right for us to tap in and start reopening those conversations that we ought to have been having with our allies, with countries that we enjoy diplomatic relations with. And if there are some countries that we don't currently enjoy diplomatic relations with, but the opportunity is there for us to benefit or for there to be a mutually beneficial relationship, then the time is now, Mr. Manners. And that is what we are talking about. People in leadership positions must lead. You can't be in leadership and afraid to lead. We are spending so much time distracting people, telling people who don't care about who and all these kind of things, and we are not putting forward any real plans to get us out of where we are. We are just sitting down and looking for handouts after handouts. This same leader and his cabinet has said time and time again, listen, the best relationship that we've enjoyed is when there's a Republican head, right? That's what they've said. Everyone is entitled to their opinion. I am not going to knock anybody for their opinion, okay? And so what I am saying is that your view because you really see the benefits coming to us? If so, great. But considering what is happening now, what are you doing? Are we going to just sit back and wait? Are we going to sit back and wait? Don't we know that the shelves are going to slowly get empty because nothing is coming in? Don't we recognize that that is what is going to happen next? Where are we in having these discussions? Is it that what we are going to say and cry for in the next 2 days? I certainly hope so. Even though I don't think that St. Croix can rescue you at this point in time, because St. Croix would be in the same position that we are in terms of getting its goods and services. Come on, man. You say you're the leaders, you say you know what's going on, you have the years of experience, and you need little young me to tell you that this is what we need to be doing. Come on, man. This is not good enough.
We can do better. Reminding you that the numbers to call, 469-7953, 669-7312, 766-7312. Give us a call. Share your thoughts. JD, I know you want to talk about education and health.
Yes, Mr. Manners. Just this week, I actually made a call to parents, guardians, and even employers for us to work together in terms of fighting this hand, foot, and mouth disease that is currently plaguing, I think it's a Nevis, and I can speak specifically to Nevis in telling you that we have quite a number of cases. Parent to everybody in the who's listening right now, just hear me out. There is absolutely nothing to be ashamed of. If your child or ward has contracted hand, foot, and mouth disease, there is nothing for you to be ashamed of. Please stop thinking that, oh, I don't want anybody to know, it's taboo, they're going to take me now, look after my child. Nonsense. If you know that this is the situation, please deal with it. Okay? Please deal with it. Do not have your children interacting with others. Yes, maybe somebody else's child gave it to you. Maybe they didn't even know that they had it. And maybe your child giving it to somebody else and they didn't even know. These things happen. But what we are saying, once you know, once you recognize, we have to share some of the responsibility. It cannot just be on the authorities. We have to share some of the responsibility. And some of us as parents are being dishonest. We see the children with the bombs. We know what's going on. We've heard what's going on. And we are still sending the children to school. Please stop. Please stop. It is not fear. It is not fear. And also remember that there are children with varying levels of tolerance. So some children might just deal with it and they'll be good in a couple of days, and some children it may cause other things. I mean, come on, let us be fair. So that is my admonition to you, the parents and guardians. Allow me to move now to the employers, because employers, we have to do better. We have to do better. I'm calling you out tonight. You can't be putting people in positions where they have to choose between going to work and making $1 and staying home to care for the sick child, when people are already struggling. And so what's happening, Mr. Manners? There are some parents who tell you straight up they know that their children are sick, but they don't have anybody to care for them, and if they don't go to work, they won't get paid. Come on, man, employers. Come on, man, we have to do better than this. It's not like we don't know what's going on. It's not like we don't know that this is something that is happening. We see the notices all over. Hand, foot, and mouth disease is going around, and it is not just in the daycares anymore, you know. Primary school, and not just kindergarten and grade 1. Big children in grade 6 and thing at hand, foot, and mouth disease. Come on, man, employers. Have some compassion. Have some compassion. These are the same people who come out day after day to do your work. And you mean to tell me that the children get sick and you can't work with these people? You're going to let them go out there, send the children to school and to the daycares and get other children sick? Come on. We got to do better than that. We have to. And now that's my admonition to you, the employers. So I've spoken to the parents and guardians, then to the employers. Allow me to address the officials. particularly those in the ministry are saying those of us as if I'm already in there, hey, speaking it into existence. But for those of us those of you in the Ministry of Education, listen, just like I told the parents, it is not your fault in terms of that the disease is out there. We keep holding back information, we keep moving around tippy-toe on tippy-toes because it's like we're afraid what people would say. Who cares what people would say if you know you're doing the right thing? Who cares? They're going to talk and they're going to stop. And so I'm calling you out because you all very well know that a lot of these schools have cases and you're not doing anything. You're not moving fast enough. So when schools calling you because they have 1 and 2 and 3 cases, you linger in and you're tippy-toeing around the issue. And then you got schools done in the 20s and the numbers are climbing. And what? We're going around tippy-toeing and not doing anything about it. Tell me a lie. I dare any one of you to come on radio tomorrow. I'll put out a statement and say a lie. I want you to do it because they're not going to bring the proof. We need to stop it. The principals, the nurses, you know, people are telling you all what is going on. And you know what is going on. And when we have 1 and 2 cases and 3 and 4 and 5, we're not acting. We tippy-toe. Oh, we need these people to tell us to do this. How big is Nevis? And now cases reach 20 and 30 and going upwards. We still ain't doing anything about it. You were not the problem at the start. Because y'all didn't give anybody hand, foot, and mouth disease. So y'all weren't the problem at the start. But you guys are contributing to the problem right now. Because you're failing to move and failing to move swiftly. Shame on you, education. Shame on you.
I watched the program this morning with Devon Cornelius on The Edge, where he had 2 of the top officials in the Ministry of Health on St. Kitts. I can't remember the title, but the lady who was so instrumental during COVID, and another gentleman. Have there been any sort of education on Nevis? Has the Ministry of Health been proactive?
The Ministry of Health, in my opinion, is trying because I know that in some cases there are persons going around to schools.
Let's take this call. We'll get back to you in a minute. Caller, welcome.
Yes, Steve, it's me again. JD, you're on fire tonight.
Call the water joke.
And, you know, and I like this topic about health because recently we've had the mole issue and, you know, the Premier made a statement that mole is like when you have the rain falling and dig out a pothole, but you're going to stop the rain from falling.
Stop the rain from falling?
Okay, so blame it on the rain. Good night, folks.
Oh.
Mini
And we come into that, you know. We come into that.
Yeah.
Well, let's go right to that. Let's talk about the mole situation because
Caller, thank you for bringing it up.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, Mr. Manners, you know, this mole thing, it pains me. And I try my best to be careful with certain things, and I'll tell you why.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I have a particular political view, I understand and I can accept that not everyone shares my view and support the same party that I support, and that's fine. No love lost, I don't hate you. We're good. We're good. However, there comes a time when you have to say enough is enough. And there comes a time when you have to tell the uncomfortable truth. And we need to tell the uncomfortable truth that we ain't just know that there's a situation with mold, Mr. Manners. We ain't just know that there's a situation with mold. And I'm pulling up something here in my phone because I found an article and I saved it and I said that I'm going to share it, right? Because we are now going on like as if, and these are the things that just really get under my skin, you know. We are now acting like as if, oh, we are so proactive and, I mean, nonsense. Listen to this. Premier's Ministry issues statement on NIA's prompt actions to address mold-related concerns at Nevis High Court Registry. Mr. Manners, I nearly mashed up my phone when I saw it.
Mm-hmm.
Prompt. I mean, and these are the kind of things that people are going to sit down and tell me and tell you. At least they're doing something about it. At least they're doing something about it when everybody up there sick. At least they're doing something about it when everybody up there sick, people can't breathe. Mr. Manners, if I walk into my place of employment, right? Like the Premier has a point that there are different kinds of mold and you will find mold in different places. So you must constantly clean. I hear in Sarah this, he wasn't so articulate, I helping him, right? But the reality is, what we see, Dr. Daly did a whole video, and rather than focus on the issue, we want to condemn Dr. Daly talking about how did Dr. Daly get access. Really? You worried about how Dr. Daly got access and you're not worried about why the worker hand looks, sir? Why the worker hand looks, sir? These are the kind of things, there are people in there with children. People in there with children. Some of them have young children. But they must work in there in these kind of conditions. People can't breathe properly. Some of them have underlying issues. But they must work in there. And the High Court, the courthouse, the registry, that's not the only place. When the government moved from Bath Hotel to go down to Social Security building, as far as I know, it was for health reasons. That is, correct me if I'm wrong, I think that was what was said. If I'm wrong, I stand corrected. But we don't make no song and dance. Because guess what? You think I want to know that the Premier is not in a safe and clean environment? Come on. I want to know that the Premier is in a safe and clean environment. I don't know if he needed to be one where you're paying nearly $30,000 a month. But I want to know that the Premier and everybody else is in a clean and safe environment. So if it was good for you, why it shouldn't be good enough for the people in the High Court? Why it shouldn't be good enough for the people in the High Court? And this matter here vexed me, because all you know what's going on, All you know what's going on. But I want to see if Nevis people going to continue to play ignorant and play blind to what is going on. This government does not care about you. The government don't care about you. If the government cared about our people would not be in these conditions. And Mr. Manners, let me go further. Because it is not just the fact that so many of the buildings have mold. It's the fact that so many of them have mold and we are not doing anything about it. Or we come after the fact, after people have been complaining and complaining. I used to work in Bath Hotel. And the building is beautiful. Beautiful building. And I like that kind of natural structure. But I had co-workers who were in there all the time and they're always sick.
Let's take this one, JD. Good evening, caller. Welcome to Your Voice.
Good evening, Mr. Manners. Good evening, Miss Kins.
Good evening.
I was told that the Nevis Island government had shortfall of the budget 15%. If we, in a federation, and the Prime Minister realize what is going on in Nevis, the Prime Minister should give his little brother something, not for the common good of his personal, but something to run our country. We are one federation, and we got independence in 1983, the 19th of September, and I believe we should go as long as a federation. We should give Nevis what belongs to Nevis. If the man, say, falls short of 15% and he don't have it to start off his project and his work, if Prime Minister is the man in charge, he's supposed to come out and say, "Bye, Mark, this is your one."
Caller.
Let the caller go, Mr. Man. Let the caller continue.
Yeah, go
Let
ahead.
them continue.
I want to make it,
15%. 15% for the island, the good of Nevis. You can't let the man stagger so. And your smaller brother, you're supposed to help your smaller brother to go forward with our project. We're hearing about the Alexandria Hospital. We're hearing about the airport. Over 12 years, almost 12 years now, they have the hospital there unfinished, not completed. Nevis people, you get up and smell the coffee and do what you have to do. Do what you have to do. If the man not got the money, what you going to do? We can't kill the man.
Caller.
Let the caller continue, Mr. Manners.
The Prime Minister supposed to come up and help. Help is help. Good night.
Caller.
Good night. Thank you so much,
I know
caller.
you're gone. You're gone. But as I said earlier, Wednesday marks 2.5 years since the new administration is in St. Kitts. The Prime Minister has not up to this point made an official visit to Nevis to sit down and talk with the people of Nevis. I know you talk about the big brother, small brother, etc. But these guys told us to send them to Bastille, and we're going to go down there and represent you. They come back and tell us they were in the yard, they were everywhere else other than where it matters.
So
There
they
must-
only go down there.
There must be an onus on the people representing Nevis to make their case.
So
The Premier of Nevis has gone mute at the federal level.
And Carla, I want to jump in here and contribute to what you said. Now, you would never, ever, ever, ever hear me oppose Nevis getting more.
None of us would.
As long as it is something that is beneficial to the people of Nevis, you would never hear me oppose that. And so, I am not at all opposed to Nevis getting more and St. Kitts assisting the island of Nevis because we are one federation. I am not opposed to it. I agree with you that we are one federation and we should work together. So don't think that I disagree with you. I agree with you with that. Trust me, we're on the same page there. What now, allow me now, Carla, because I allowed you. What I want to say, Carla, remember I even begged for you to continue talking, right? So you're going to give me the same grace. Thank you. So what I want to say, though, is even with the help that St. Kitts should give, because we are one federation, and we are entitled to some assistance because it is not just the money for St. Kitts, it's St. Kitts Nevis. Even with that, and even with me agreeing with you, Nevis has to carry some of its burden because Nevis has a Nevis Island Administration. Remember, Nevis asked for this, you know. We have a Nevis Island Administration, and so even if St. Kitts were to come and say, here, take all, you want to tell me that at no point must Nevis stand on its own 2 feet and say, thank you for investing, showing some investor confidence in us. Thank you for believing in us here on the island of Nevis. And this is what we are prepared to do now that we've received some assistance from you. This is how we are prepared to move the economy forward. Are you saying that Nevis should not be doing that? It can't be. Because Nevis has to be held accountable. Because guess what? Whenever anything is good in Nevis and Nevis does something great, guess what? You think you just hear them say St. Kitts and Nevis? Just like when on St. Kitts something great, you're going to say St. Kitts. Right up here, this current premier that we have in his cabinet, they're going to pump their chest and they're going to tell you that is what they did. That is what they did. So what we need them to do, Mr. Manners, is to stand on their own 2 feet. Yes, you get help from St. Kitts and wherever else you get help from, and you will never hear me knock that. Never. Because we've really benefited a lot from assistance. We've benefited a lot from assistance, and I would never say that I don't want that for Nevis. But Nevis got to do its part to caller.
All right, let's take this caller. Welcome to the conversation.
Good night, Mr. Manners.
Hi, good night.
And good night, Jerry.
Good night.
As you are talking about budget shortfall, I'm sure you all can remember a statement from the Premier. Last week, I don't remember if it was press conference or on his show, but the Premier said he received 25% of some monies from the Prime Minister, money that was donated by Taiwan. Has the Premier tell us how much in monetary form the 25% is? Budget shortfall. Gone. Good night.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, so Mr. Manners, this to get back on this, because the caller had shifted the topic a bit. This issue of mold is not good, because it's not just, and guys, just bear with us for a minute, Listen to this. The government has come out now, issued a statement, said they're taking a proactive approach dealing with this. Mr. Manners, the statement on one hand, let me pull it back up here. The statement at one hand suggests that they still ain't even sure if there is an issue. But then still turn around and say that this is the issue and they're fixing it. So which is it? So just hear me out. It says, The Premier's ministry would like to address the recent social media postings and images which purport to concern mold at the High Court Registry and other government facilities.
Hold it a while, JD. Let's take this one. It's a busy evening. Welcome, caller.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening.
You see that 500 million that was given to Nevis Plus, and that has been unaccounted for to the Nevis people. If I was the Prime Minister of thinking, I wouldn't give 1 other cent to Nevis until the Premier of Nevis can tell Nevisians what he is doing with the money. Ain't no nonsense about if I squander it, I squander it. Nevisians are not benefiting. Where
is the money going?
Where is the money? Where are they?
So
why should this caller now say that things should take up their money because they come in the name of saying it's a Nevis? Just willingly give it to Nevis and then you're moldy everywhere. Everything they're doing is spoiled. No, I wouldn't feel good. I'm giving you money to squander. Thank you.
Caller, I can't agree with you. This is not think it's giving money to Nevis. It's a common passport. The Premier for sure has made irresponsible statements about the money we get is our money and we could squander it, etc., etc. But here is a very important point. The federal government indicated that up to September, they had only made $218 million. And I saw articles going around over the weekend saying that there has been a 169% increase in applications. What they didn't tell you is how much money was made between October and December. We need to know what the end of year figure is. Dominica, I think it was, or Grenada, one of those, indicated last week that they had reached the 500 million threshold for the first time in their CBI program. Our government need to tell us how they made up ground for the final 3 months of the year, and our government here in Nevis has to make better representation to get more of the pie. Every division must demand fair share. The Premier has gone quiet, he's gone mute, but there are other people who are prepared to fight that battle.
Mr. Manners, you know, respectfully, I am trying to move the mountain in Nevis right now. There is a mountain in St. Kitts. I have to move the mountain in Nevis before I get to the mountain in St. Kitts. And my interest right now is moving the mountain in Nevis for the people of Charlestown. I want to ensure that the people of Charlestown finally get the representation that they deserve, because we have not had that in a long time. So, callers, I respect your opinions and your views, but allow me to try to help to move this mountain in Nevis in the CCM-led Nevis Island administration. We assure the public, I am reading from the press statement from the Premier's ministry, we assure the public that we take these issues seriously and are actively working to promptly mine and effectively address any legitimate mold-related concerns raised by our staff. They go on to say, in response to the situation at the High Court Registry, we have hitherto relocated staff and engaged in remedial work at the registry. We only returned staff to that site once the testing showed it was safe to do so. So, that's an acknowledgement. We recognize, however, that mold is a naturally occurring phenomenon and that old buildings are especially prone to mold. That is true. As a result, we have since engaged professional remediation services and have been coordinating regular air quality assessments in partnership with the Bureau of Standards on St. Kitts. Mr. Manners, hear what I am saying. What you do last is what you should have done first, if I could say it how Aunt Mai would have said it to me. You understand? I am not saying that they're not doing anything now. But look how much later, you know how long we've been talking about this issue? Not just at the High Court Registry. And they know it's a problem because they've moved people from other places. And one of the things I really like, and because it is true, and like I say, I like to give Jackie and What the gentleman said, and Johnny Bamanku. I'm going to use that. Right? Now, it is true that old buildings are prone to this thing, but since you know that, because it's in your statement, since you know that, why weren't you proactive in dealing with it? Why weren't you proactive in dealing with it? People had to reach the state when nearly your whole staff out sick. And some of them a little bit sick. Some of them very sick. Very sick. But you come now and want to fool people. Mind you, callers, listeners, everybody, you have family members too. Nobody in the courthouse right now may be your family member, but you have family members too. And you wouldn't want that for them. I know for sure I ain't working in there.
Let's take this caller. Good evening, caller.
Yes, Mr. Miles, do the government bring in an expert to identify that they have mold in the building?
I don't know. JD is reading from an article which is outlining what the government is doing. What I'm going to say to you, caller, though, Professor Patricia Bartlett has come on this program time after time and has said that it is past time for the government to engage the services of an epidemiologist. I can't even call it. You call the word there for me, JD. Somebody who deals with what's causing these illnesses.
Well, I believe.
Let me say this just for the record, because people are mentioning it on the street. I'm not a medical person. You've heard JD talk about the mold problem in the courthouse and the registrar.
Yeah.
In the last 3 months, and I'm not saying that is why these people perished, but people are saying it on the street. 2 persons have transitioned in the last 3 months.
Yeah. Okay.
Who either worked in the courthouse registry or was still working. That should go for something.
Okay, sir. Okay. All right.
All right. Let's talk also about just the state of government-owned buildings. Because, yes, mold is one topic. But let's go further. Because we have quite a number of government-owned buildings that, to me, are almost as if they're in a state of disrepair. Almost as if they're in a state of disrepair, and I'll tell you why. For whatever reason, we've relocated, okay? Let me speak to the Charlestown Health Center. So we've relocated, and we've said that we are going to do some work. I don't know how often you pass there.
Well, I told you last week you need to lend Spencer Brand a cattle. You didn't say that to you. The grass is as high as the fence.
I normally see it from behind because I walk down that road. But I saw it from the front. It's ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
It is absolutely ridiculous. Then there is the former water department that is right opposite the labor department. And I walked down there, I think it was last week, and I've come right on this program and I've spoken about the I think it's an oven. It might have been an oven that's right in front of that building.
I think it's more of a cistern.
A cistern? Okay.
It has a dome, yeah.
Okay. Stand corrected. But right in front of the building, I've spoken time and time again about the state of India. The doors were basically falling off, and I mean, rats, New York-sized rats were coming out of India. And they went and they did some work there in terms of tidying it up a bit. So I'm glad for that, right? You had to keep talking, and they vexed with me when I talk. But then they go and do it, so I'm glad. Because if it's benefiting the people, my work is done. However, right next door where I tell you, you know, the water department used to be there on the bottom floor. And the water department moved. They've moved from there quite a while now, right? We are paying rent elsewhere. What is being done there? How are we trying to fix the problem to get us out of a state of paying rent, which is costing me and you, money that could have gone into the schools, money that could have helped the schools buy the Lysol and stuff right now because education telling them buy their own Lysol and sanitizers and stuff for the children. Nonsense. So, what are we doing? But I passed there just last week and somebody is there lying on the porch on a piece of cardboard with a can thing there, I guess to eat. Somebody who, you know, probably if not homeless, the situation is not the best. But guess what? They shouldn't be there either. They shouldn't be there. So there's nothing being done. The place just look horrible, Mr. Manners. And that's that. There's the health center in town. So many places we paying rent to everybody except me. The government paying rent to everybody except me. I mean, this is ridiculous. Everybody they paying rent to, and mind you, don't get me wrong. And I'm not going to be a hypocrite and say if the places are not fit for purpose, move the staff. Of course, I'm going to say that. If they're not fit for purpose, move the staff. But after you've moved this stuff, can you then move quickly into addressing whatever issues need to be addressed? We are letting these things get out of control. And then you say 15% budget shortfall. Of course, you're a bad spender. You're a bad spender. You're a no-name brand. This is ridiculous. And you lie bad. So you have bad spender, a no-name brand, somebody who lie bad. Who else we have? It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I don't know what's going on.
While you're on bad spending, Kelvin Daly, aforementioned, did a tremendous job last week doing some very graphic videos of a property which is adjacent to yours.
Hey, the tell them where they go.
Oh, sorry. I take that. In farms. And then he did an organized tour over the weekend to share that with other people. 6 acres of land bought from a family there for Premier's, allegedly, for Premier's residence in 2018, and is lying there in a state of disrepair. When I saw the animals, the cattle, the donkey, the goats, the sheep, I didn't see the rats, but I could I know they're there. The mongoose, I said, this is George Orwell's Animal Farm. Not 1984, but 2025. If anybody wanted an idea of what is bad spending, is what the government has done with that property, which Daly describes as palatial. A brilliant place on Nevis, which has left in a state of disrepair for 7 years. And Hensley Daniel on that tour said, listen, there's the possibility here for a whole government complex.
Mr. Manners, I have plans for over there.
Oh, you do?
I have plans for over there.
Let's take this caller. Caller, you've got to be quick. We've got 5 minutes and we got some other ground to cover.
Okay. I promise this is the last call for the night. But really, I know you are very much into culture. So when you get elected into the new NRP government, I want you to do one thing for me. Look into Winfest and revive it. I was talking, no. This is a very serious matter. I was talking to somebody up to 2 nights ago, and I was telling them and explaining to them what was going on. When Winfest initially started, it came under the NRP government, but it was supposed to be, across the board. CCM, we had members who were CCM, members who were NRP. We sent an invitation to the Honorable Patrice Nesbitt, who humbly accepted to be a member. We sent a letter to the, at the time, he was honorable at the time, but, Mr. Alex Jeffers. And his response was that if he is not in charge, then he wants nothing to do with Winfest. And that played out over the years, and people can see it. But when you become the Minister of Culture, please look into Winfest. It's a good thing, it's not a good thing.
Thank you very much, Carla.
Thank you.
And Carla, let me tell you something. I am a firm believer and advocate for community festivals, and not just community festivals, but community development. Okay? And so what I saw when Winfest was created was something nothing short of visionary. And it's a shame to see where it has fallen. Winfest, Gingerama, two community festivals that had so much potential, and we want to see that back, and we want festivals similar, mirrored in other islands, not islands, other constituencies and other communities. The reason I say that, it's because one, it really helps to boost our bigger festival, which is Culturama, believe it or not. Because when you have that buy-in at the community level, you don't have all of this stress and headache in terms of getting people in the mood for Culturama. Additionally, it helps to spread the message, because really and truly it should not just be about fests and festivities, but it should be about educating our people on our culture. And if we are doing that at the community level, I mean, it can only be down to our benefit. So that is something that I am extremely passionate about, not just community festivals, but community development on a whole. We want the trainings to be done in the communities. We want the homework assistance to be done in the communities, the skills development to be done in the communities, the festivals to be done in the communities, and we want employment in the communities. Everybody doesn't have to come to the city for employment. We want all of that in the communities. When you do that, that is how you diversify your economy. That is how you get your people to save, because you don't have to drive to work. You could walk to work. And then that benefits our island on a whole in terms of our carbon footprint. But you see, you got a set of people who we elect who have no ideas.
Exactly.
They have all the years, but they have no ideas.
Okay.
Mr. Manners,
Yeah, I
as
know
we
you have
wind
to
down,
get.
yes.
I know you have to get to your athletics, but
I
before
want-
you go there though, you said you have plans for the farm project. What's your vision?
Mr. Manners, I have one gripe with Dr. Daly, you know. You come right over there and you hear me complain about how that place look and how it poses so much of a safety concern. And you mean to tell me in a walk with not even one cutlass?
Oh!
Or one weed whacker?
Match it.
To just clean down the little area there by the fence so that we could get, you know, a nice view, you know? But Mr. Manners, the first time Dr. Daly went there, right? I didn't see the video yet, but I said somebody was over there, you know. Mr. Manners, the size of rats that I saw coming down the road, I kid you not. I kid you not. So I said something up, and then I said Dr. Daly video. He went out there to wake them up.
Oh.
But no, but all joke aside, even the video that Dr. Daly did, as far as I'm concerned, he showed the good side. It is a waste. But we do have plans for over there. Listen, the possibilities are endless. But for me, one of the things I saw, even before this video came to light, having known the property and all of that, I'm thinking, listen, we've been talking time and time again. There's so many things that we can do out there, and you don't have to say that this has to be the one, open to suggestions. But here, this is what I was saying. You see how we want to expand our tertiary level education program in terms of the Nevis Sixth Form College, and then have additional courses and additional options for persons. I mean, look at that.
Ideal spot.
Look at that. Look at that. Trust me, Mr. Manners, that was the idea that was being birthed for that in terms of family. Naturally, we are part of a team, and so everybody has to weigh in. But the possibilities are endless, and I could tell you that we would not have had that property going down the drain like that. It is massive.
Yeah.
A massive property.
6 acres.
A massive property. I mean, he make all of us out their house look like some little matchsticks. Matchbox. I mean, really, because it goes down from the cemetery, come all the way up by me, go cross by Hudson, go cross by Hector. I mean, massive. Massive. The rest of us look like we got matchbox to them.
Anyway, I know you have to get to your beloved athletics.
So, yes, just quickly, allow me to commend its relay festival. I think we have something that's stuff, because I know that the situation was not ideal, but they still went ahead and it's fine. They still went ahead and they hosted the relay festival, you know, with so many of the children being out, and you could have seen from the numbers that quite a few children were out. Some were sick, and some, it was just a case where the schools wanted to err on the side of caution, and so you didn't have that level of participation like last year, but it was still a very good activity. Kudos to Coach Adelvin Phillip and everyone else who contributed, A1 Farms for continuing to support the activity. I know they like athletics, track and field, and Mackie, and so thank you for that. And what I liked about the relay festival, I saw them there. Roselle, she was there and she was sanitizing the buttons and stuff, and I thought that was a good touch. So I commend them. I want to commend the St. James Primary School, small school, but they're really trying, and I like to see people trying. And so they hosted a relay rumble where they invited the other schools, and it was a road relay but featuring the other schools, and I thought that was good as well. So I want to commend them for that activity, particularly because it's a small school. Same thing for Elizabeth Pemberton, 2 small schools, so I'm really loving that. And for all of the schools that have had heat so far, up at Charleston Primary, we've had our heats. Some have them coming up. I don't know how they're going to fare with this hand, foot, and mouth disease, but I pray that you're able to get that done. And I want to say to Mr. Manners, in terms of the Mondo track, here we are in another sports season, and nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. We still have temporary seating over there. I mean, every year we have to spend money to renovate some of them. We have, well, let me take that back in terms of nothing has changed, because I see now we take up the gravel and we're building a walkway. Hooray, something has changed. Still not even sure what's happening with that. But I mean, after all these years, Mr. Manners, the Mondo track remains just that, a Mondo track. I'm not seeing it being named in honor of our outstanding division athletes, and I'm going to continue to say that stadium should bear the name, in my opinion, of a division. And I am suggesting Maritza Williams and Kervin Wallace, because they are our Olympians, right? However, that's just my opinion. But Nevis Athletic Stadium is not a fitting name anymore, you know? So we need to get the facility up to par. Additionally, do not let our track get to the point like where other tracks are and we have to undergo major repairs. When you see something needs to be done, get it done. And I'm already seeing some blemishes. Let us get them done. Right in the area of the 100-meter mark. I mean, right as you go in, as you enter the track, come on, let's get these things done. Let us not wait. Also, it seems we have an issue with the lights. It seems we have an issue with the lights. I don't think it's any fault of the officials. I think it may have had something to do with the storm. But I'm wondering, what does that mean for our sports season? Because we've had a few smaller events having to rush off quickly because there's no lights. So I don't know what that is going to mean. The schools won't get an opportunity to make money if we are sending off people really, really early. Yes, we don't want the sports going on to very late, but come on. After 6, sun is already going down, so we really do need lights. So that's something to look into, and I'm hoping that we get the necessary lights, because it's not a good look right now. Additionally, like I said, no further development. You see, the problem that we have, in my opinion, we politicize everything, and so we gave one man was the face of the athletic stadium. One man was out there doing everything for the athletic stadium because only he could do it. But look at them now, they fall out, and they don't want anybody to remember that one man was the man doing anything. So they don't want him to help to do anything. Anything that needs fixing, anything, they don't want his input because everybody fall out. But when we talked at first and said, why should it be one person? Oh, we're fighting down, we have a problem. But look at you now. That is what is going on. We don't think about the people of Nevis. You see me? You could be a CCM supporter, you could be an NRP supporter. I don't even care who you support. Let us get people who are most suited for the roles to do the work. Finally, I am hearing, you could tell me if it's true, that FIFA failed the football field. Is that true? I want somebody from sports to come forward and say if that is true. It is alleged that it wasn't passed recently, and so I am asking for clarification. If what I heard is incorrect, I stand corrected, but that is what I'm hearing. Certainly, if that is the case, we ought to know, and if that isn't the case, please provide some clarification. But I have been reliably informed that that is in fact the case. Mr. Manners, as we wind down and we get ready to go to our beds, listen, I just want to tell the people of Nevis, I know for some of you, you've been voting election after election for the Nevis Reformation Party, and you're starting to get discouraged because you're feeling like, oh my goodness, when will we get there? just know that I understand. I understand that level of frustration. It is not easy, and you've given so much, and we are grateful. But please don't give up. Please don't give up now. Because if everybody takes that approach, we will never get there. And we have to rid ourselves of this cancer known of the Concerned Citizens Movement.
Let's take this one, and caller, you've got to be quick.
Yes, Steve, I want to be quick. Steve.
Yeah, we're listening.
I heard a caller while I was walking from work coming home. I heard a caller and the ear was talking about Nevis and how the Premier want money. The Premier can't spend money, young man. If the Premier got Nevis in that kind of position with money, all because he paying the Barabbas. That is the problem. So you go back and ask the Premier, why all this money where he get from Timothy Harris? Where he gone? Where he doing the money? The Premier cannot spend money. And Steve, you is so right. If Joe were here and the young man will listen that, if Joe was here, Joe he done 2 years now.
2.5.
And Joe can come over there and talk with the government and the opposition. And they're saying about they want federal, how who they think they're fooling? They want nothing. All I want you to do for me, Steve, is give Miss Daniel the audience. We're on the media. Let's take what she's going to do for St. Nevis going forward. Because she have what? And she got ammunition to pack up, to make him pack up and go home. He in the checkout lounge. And you better understand that. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you, caller.
The caller always has some very good points.
Yeah.
Yes, so Mr. Manners, as I was saying in my closing remarks, I know that many of our people have grown weary, they're tired, not that they don't have the confidence in the NRP to lead the government, but it's like they're tired of what is going on and they just feel like they can't make a change, and I get it. Trust me, I totally get it. But I don't want you to give up. Not yet. Not yet. Because if everybody were to take that approach, we would still be where we are. So we have to keep trying. Also, there are some persons who are just totally turned off by the culture of politics in Nevis, in St. Kitts and Nevis, particularly Nevis, and so they're neither here nor there. But guess what? Somebody has to lead. Somebody has to lead. Whether you vote or not, somebody will lead. So why not be part of that? Why not help to decide your fate? Guys, we cannot continue down this path. Forget about whether you like this person or that person. Let us deal with the issues at hand and ask yourself who is better suited to move this country forward. And in the area of St. Paul's, I'm just asking for that opportunity. I am just asking for that opportunity. Not for me. Not for me. I am asking for the opportunity to help all of us. Help me to help you. Help me to help you. And I continue to say to the people of St. Paul, I am committed. If you give me that opportunity, whenever the time comes, it's not tomorrow. I know it's not tomorrow, but I'm asking now. And I have been asking for a couple of years, and I will continue to ask that you give me an opportunity. Allow me a chance to prove myself. And if you're not satisfied with what I deliver, then I won't come back and ask you. I wouldn't even wait for you to tell me to go. I won't come back and ask you because that's how I am. But just give me that opportunity. I can guarantee you that St. Paul's will be well represented in government. St. Paul's will be well represented. We will be part of the decision making. And it is not anything about bullying anybody or pushing over anybody. No, we understand that there's a leader and there's a chain of command. But understand that your needs will be at the table. Whereas right now you have a representative that can't do anything for you. It has to depend on the Premier's mood. That's not what you'll get with me, because we have a team that's willing to move all of Nevis forward. That is the difference. Everybody wants to see all of Nevis forward. So the same way I am passionate about moving St. Paul forward, my colleagues in the constituencies are passionate about moving their area forward. And so together, we want to move Nevis forward. That is the fundamental difference. On that note, I'm going to say good night because we've gone over time. I want you to continue to follow the Nevis Reformation Party on social media so that you can stay up to date with what's happening. Please support the St. George's constituency branch in its upcoming fundraiser, a catamaran sale on Valentine's evening. Please support them. Please support St. George, St. John, St. James, St. Thomas, St. Paul, of course, in all of our fundraising activities, because we can't do this without you. Thank you very much for listening.
Alphonsus Castle, the mighty arrow out of Montserrat of late and blessed memory, could have been singing about J.D. Keynes. Hot, hot, hot. It's been an absolute pleasure having you this evening. We've gone 12 minutes over time. 2 video images are ingrained in my mind. Videos produced by Kelvin Daly of the gay abandon of an outstanding property in France. The other is of a policeman in uniform running through Ramsbury, signaling that the athletic season is here. I spoke to Curtis Morton on Saturday night. He told me that was part of community policing. That was epic. And you've been listening to Your Voice with the NRP, with the girl, the party candidate, the caretaker who promises you gains with canes. She's number 1 in number 1. Next week, with us, Professor Dr. Patricia Bartlett. Good night, and thank you for joining us.
Good night.
Your Voice with the NRP. This and every Monday, 8:30 to 10 p.m. Join host Stephen Semanas and the NRP candidates as they amplify your voice.
Why wait for Santa when